Hi guys, good morning. A very good morning to all of y'all. Hopefully my screen is visible, right? So today I have planned to discuss a question which was tested in your September-December 2023 Dario code, right? This question focuses on your ethics and its implications. Okay. So normally, guys, this question would be right after your consolidation statement. So it would be your second question in your exam paper, right? And this is also a sure shot question, right? Sure shot means y'all can expect it for 100%, right? So examiner has been having this habit of testing ethics for maximum about 20 to 25 marks. Okay. So 30 marks would be your good consolidation, and after 20 marks would be allocated for your ethical questions. But don't worry, do not worry. This ethical question would not be an entire 20 mark, right? It would be segregated between ethics and another separate standard. Okay, another separate simple standard. Small, simple. Okay, so always it will be tested for 20 marks, and it would not be an entirely ethical question, right? One would be ethics, and the other one would be a small standard. It could be IFRS 15, revenue, IAS 38, intangibles, or any of the small standards you all can expect. Okay, simply if you all expect that, you all will need to explain about it. No calculations. I'll guarantee you all will not need to be required to prepare any calculation. So you all, there is no use of using Excel sheets, right? Okay. And there's another one final point that I wanted to mention to you all is something called as professional marks. Well, you all know that now you all are SBR students, right? In SBR level, right? You all who are major people that you are going to deal is you are going to deal with shareholders, right? Who play a prominent, significant role in your uh, financial reporting. Okay. So what? How do you use present? How do you get professional marks? Will be guys. You all need to present it in a simple and understanding manner, right? Which is eye catching. That means the way of your presenting should be presentable. For example, look at this. Can you see here? I have used separate headings. I mean, I've used different font colors to, show that it is as a heading. But I have used them. Can you see? I have broken down them into 5 separate headings. Well, this is one of my professional quality, right? This is one of my professional aspect where I would be able to get a half mark or 1 mark, right? Another one, rather than giving definitions, rather than giving detailed explanations, rather than giving, lengthy paragraphs, which has, you all know, beat around the bush. What you all should do is you all should always relate it to the scenario. You see, they want you all to relate it to the current business situation, right? So each and every question that you all get in terms of ethics, make sure that you all relate it to the scenario. Whenever you all don't relate, you all are not going to get the professional mark. For example, let us take this one, self-interest. But most of us would be, we write self-interest and we would go and write the definition of self-interest. Well, that is not needed at all. Because the question simply says that they want you all to discuss ethical issues, right? They only just want you all to discuss. So you will have to identify the ethical issue and you have to relate it to the uh, given paragraph, and after that you have to justify how this is deemed to be an ethical issue, right? Don't worry. For most of you all would have done audit, right? Audit and assurance, which is your F8 in skills level. Okay, so you all would have gotten exposure of how to write ethical questions. Okay, and for the people who have got exemptions of online papers, well, for you all simple guys, just practice one or about see maximum about 3 questions. Automatically the first question you all be able to do it all by your own selves, because this is, let me be honest, this is a repeated question, right? The same pattern will be repeated again and again. So if you all identify the pattern of the examiner, you all be able to score that marks. Okay, let us now directly jump into the questions. Don't worry, I'm not planning on extending much time, right? I'm not planning on taking our time. So I have already written down the points, so it's just a matter of fact of explaining it and moving on, right? If that is so, shall we start off our question for today? Okay. So looking at the background, what is important is you need to know the financial year end. Even though you all don't need to create something called as, you all don't need to calculate, you all don't need to do anything in terms of your Excel sheet, right? Don't worry, this is not a calculation question. This is always about an explanation or an advice, right? That's the role that you all are going to play. Okay. The requirement A, they want us to use exhibit one, right? Only exhibit one, and they want us to discuss, right? If you discuss and if you relate, right? Let me make it simple. You need to discuss plus relate. This should grab you the 10 mark, right? And the way of your presentation skills will gain you or will give you, and relating it to the particular situation would give you the additional 2 marks, right? But don't waste your time, guys. Don't waste your time because don't waste your time because these are 20 mark question, right? These are 20 mark. So 20 marks question into 1.8. You're ideally supposed to spend 36 minutes for the total marks, right? Do not go and spend your valuable time. Maximum you all could stretch is 40, right? Don't go beyond that. Okay. They don't want you all to explain uh, lengthy or, waste your time. Try to tackle your time. Because even though this might be an easy question because of you all practicing or you all have a previous understanding, do not waste time. Time management is the game. Okay. Okay. This is exhibit one, right? Let me read it. The finance director, okay, the finance director is not a permanent employee. Okay. It's not a permanent employee. He is on a current 6 months contract. Okay. So here itself, your very first ethical issue comes up. Okay. Your very first ethical issue comes up. How does it come up? See, now let me bring a real time example. Uh, when I was working in a particular company, right, that was my very first internship. What happened was I was going under a contract basis, right? Because normally interns are under contract basis. They are not given the permanent role directly. Okay. So what me and my set of colleagues used to do is, because we were part of the same internship batch, what we would do is we could not try to prove ourselves because we were young, right? We were young, right? Directly after school, we were doing our skills level. So we were directly after school. We would like to showcase our skills, our talent, in different ways. Why? Simply to get permanent, right? So we would had to stay up nights, help our seniors, uh, you know, do overtimes and stuff. That is common in across all the industries if you all need to be permanent. Okay. Now there are two ways of achieving it. One is, yeah, obviously there's a way called, the just way, right? As well as there's something called manipulative ways. Okay. So when you all are given under 6 months contract, obviously when you all are not permanent, right? When you are not permanent employees, this would create something called self-interest. Self-interest, right? This would create something called self-interest, right? This would create something called self-interest. Why? Job security. You all need to ensure that after the 6 months is done, after your contract is finished, right? The company needs to renew it, right? If it needs to renew it, you need to perform well, right? If you need to perform well, you have to adhere according to your seniors. Seniors can be, seniors can twist these people. How they can twist it, they could say, here, see, if you do this particular work, don't worry, I'll recommend you. Or if you don't find any mistakes in my accounts, I will make sure that you get a better position for a better salary, right? He will start threatening you. You all would feel it. Some would feel, some would not. So that would happen when you all are not permanent, right? When you all are not permanent, it will create something called self-interest, right? It will create something called self-interest. Sometimes they will start blackmailing you also, saying that if you what they call if you go and complain, this would happen in most of these audit companies, right? Audit trainees, they would sometimes, if they are able to identify issues, they'll go and report it to the supervisors, right? But some supervisors, even though that mistake or that error is material, they would say, "Here, see, you don't go and tell this to don't go and tell it across the entire company, right? Let us keep it between ourselves. If you make sure that this is done, if you hide this particular one, don't worry, I'll get your a permanent job for you in this particular company, and I'll get you a good salary." So what you will feel, okay, fine, he's going to get me a good better position. So why don't I omit this from my other people, right? This is what's going to happen. Yeah. So how you all need to answer is, yeah, that would be a one very first point. Let us go paragraph by paragraph. Okay, that would be ideal. The second one is a personal friend. Okay, the CEO is the person who appoints, right? In this particular organization, CEO is the person who appoints or recommends, right? She is recommending her personal friend to the board of Dario, right? What do you all think here happens? What do you all think happens here? Well, this due to this, right? Due to this, there's something called familiarity threat arises. Familiarity threat means, now see, suppose I'm the CEO of my company, right? I go and appoint my own brother, very own brother, as the CFO, right? You know why I would do this? To make sure that a person is there who could listen to each and everything that I want, right? So that I could, tame him according to my very own ways. I could tell him, sign this, don't sign that. If there's a vote, uh, cast that vote to me, don't cast it to another person. Like that, I could manipulate in multiple ways. Simply, he's like a walking puppet. He's like a walking puppet where I could use him for my very own reasons, right? For my very own reasons. So this would create something called familiarity threat. That's what organizations mostly, whenever they are taking senior professionals or at board levels, right? They would do a background check whether you're related or not. If they are related, it is ideal to mention that they are related or not. Or mostly they avoid taking people who are closely having a relationship. So that's what most of the companies don't work with. Husband and wife would not work in the same company. Uh, uh, Two brothers or you have siblings, they don't work majority of the times. Okay, so this is how it happens. Okay, and after that, both the members are ACCA members. Okay, the finance director as well as the CEO. Okay, now let us start writing something. Okay, you all need to grab a professional mark, right? You all need to show that examiner that you all are also professionals, right? Right, you all are well trained professionals. You all know how to deal ethical issues. Okay, so normally it's advisable, but not mandatory, right? It's not needed, but it is advisable to show, simply just show off that you know what you're trying to do. So, you could give something called a general paragraph. A general paragraph would be, you have to follow ethics, right? You are ACCA members. You are supposed to abide by the code of ethics, right? During all the times that you all are trying to do your professional activities, blah, blah, blah. Those stuff you all could, simply explain, right? By doing that, you all would be able to simply what you call be an ethical person, do your job in an effective manner. Like that, you simply could explain it under your general paragraph, right? Now we move on to our ethical issues, right? In this, can you see I have mentioned something called self-interest, then familiarity. After that, there's something called professional behavior and integrity, right? These are your ethical issues that you all would have studied in audit and assurance. Give me a minute. Sorry, guys. So these are the ones marked in yellow or orange would be, guys, these are the simple basic ethical issues that you all would have studied in audit and assurance, right? There's an acronym, right? Try to go and look into your Google. There's an acronym to remember these ethical issues. Okay. Through our very first paragraph, I was able to identify something known as self-interest, right? Why? We were not in a permanent employee situation. We were working under 6 months. Because of that, Because of that, a self-interest arises. This is a statement. This statement can be directly copied and pasted. Now, see, since I'm using my what you call Microsoft Edge, I'm unable to copy it and paste. But in your ACCA practice platforms, what you all could do is you all could simply copy this, right? You all could simply copy this. You all could simply copy this from the first two lines. First two lines are relevant to self-interest, so you all could copy it and you all could paste it, right? By doing that, you all are able to get one particular mark. Why? You all are relating it to the scenario. You are relating it to scenario. Now I'm going to justify it. Now I'm going to justify. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to make it lengthy. I will just read out the important points. You all could, build it on. Okay. So what I would say is now I'll give you all pointers. Okay. What I would say now, see, I'm working for 6 months, right? So what I would try to do is, I would try to perform very well in terms of my financial aspect. Why? Because I'm the finance director, not the uh, operational director or any of that sort. I'm the finance director, so I need to perform well in my finance field, right? That I would try to do. Okay. So now, since my role is not permanent, guys, my role is not permanent, right? I would try to. There's a possibility, right? I'm not telling it's probable. There's a possibility, right? There's a possibility that I would try to intentionally. Intentionally means that I would try to, willingly, right? I would try to willingly not apply professional skepticism or judgment. Okay. These are some two important points that I learned in audit myself, right? I learned in audit. Professional skepticism means, right, you always have to look in an questioning mind. For example, if you're what do you call, if you're what do you call, who would I say? If you're junior accountant, senior accounts are preparing accounts, don't just simply blindly believe them and authorize those financial statements, because they are the people who produce your financial statements, right? They are the people who prepare the financial statements. You will review it. You're a CFO, you will review it. And after you review, you need to authorize it, right? So you all just don't believe them simply by looking at their formats, simply by looking at their this one, right? At their qualifications. Do not go and make sure that you authorize. No, take some time, review the financial statements, right? Because that's the role of a CFO. He needs to review the financial statements, review them, right? Try to identify mistakes, because why? See, if they were not people who are making mistakes, by now they would have been in a situation where they would be the very CEOs of that particular company rather than you being the CFO, right? If they are below the CFO, obviously they lack experience, they lack the financial expertise. So that is why you need to apply something called professional skepticism, right? This would be questioning mind, right? It is called something that is known as questioning mind, right? Always you have to argue. You have to argue why this occurs, how will it occur, please explain. That's the simple answer. Okay. Then now see, now if you all are intentionally trying to create, if you all now since you all have self-interest, and if you all are omitting, or if you all are identifying, or if you all are trying to overstate your accounts, you all are trying to deliberately overstate. If you all are trying to deliberately overstate means intentionally you all are trying to overstate your accounts. Why would you all overstate? Obviously, when you are sure that your profits are high, in terms of financial, you have performed well, right? In terms of the financial aspect, you have performed well. Because of that, right, fraud can occur. It will lead to something known as fraud, where fraud is a criminal offense, guys. This you would have studied in ethics in your BT level as well. Fraud is a criminal activity in terms of code of ethics, right? If you all mention this, sure, you'll be able to get your 2 mark, right? If you all need to get an additional mark, right, what you all could mention is, see, another way of how I now see, it differs perspective to perspective. Your way of interpreting and my way of explaining ethical issues will be totally different. No problem, right? You all can do it as your very own please, like how you all feel. You all could explain it, right? Another way of where I could, this is another perspective of mine. See, the CEO has the higher authority. Higher authority means normally it's the CEO. After all, there's a CFO coming in. Okay. So because of that, he could use his power. Okay. He could use his power. Okay. What could he use his power and do is he could say that, see, he could say that, here it is. Here it is. Wait, like, for this, I would need to read the second paragraph. For this, I would need to read the second paragraph. Dario is currently having a finance cash flow problem, right? At the moment, they are having liquidity issues. Okay. So to overcome that, the CEO has asked to from the CFO to reduce his current fees by 50%. Okay. Now comes the major part. Now comes the main part. The finance contract is due for renewal in the next month. Obviously, he's working under a temporary basis, right? So after his existing contract expires, he needs to renew it, right? The CEO has recently spoken to the finance director and stated that his contract is more likely to be renewed if he is prepared to take a fee reduction, right? Can you all see here? Just because of that familiarity threat, just because the CEO and CFO knew, right? And now currently the company is facing a cash flow problem, right? To overcome that, what the CEO is saying that, see, if you give a 50% reduction from your existing fees, I would make you a permanent employee. That is what he's saying. Can you see? It's more likely that the the renewal of the contract is highly dependent if only the CFO reduces his 50%. Right? So that is what I'm trying to tell here. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Because of the CFO who has a higher power, right? What he could use is he could use starting to intimidate, right? He could intimidate, right? He could intimidate in a way that saying that if you need to be permanent, make sure that you reduce 50% of your salary. If you don't reduce, I'm not going to give, right? So because of that, another self-interest in terms of my salary would arise, right? This would, in terms of salary, in terms of salary and position would arise. To safeguard my salary and my position, what I would do is I would, okay, fine, I would agree to him, right? That is one of my another point of my self-interest. Okay, that would be another point of your self-interest. Okay. Another point that I would like to discuss is familiarity. Familiarity means something you all call as close relationship, right? Close relationship or slash yeah, close relationship. Okay. So as usual, right, what y'all could do is y'all could simply copy and paste this particular this one. Can you see here the CEO and is a personal friend? She's recommended to the board. Y'all could simply copy that and paste it here. Right? Y'all copy it and paste it here. I'll be able to get 1 mark. Now y'all need to justify, right, how the familiarity arises. Well, here it's a yeah, I've attached something as a justification as well. Okay. Right now, simply because my brother, I have appointed my brother as the CFO, right? What I would tell him to do is to accept any terms of conditions. Okay. I would be putting multiple policies across the entire organization, right? So as a CEO, I cannot take uh, the entire decision, right? We would always go for something called as voting, right? Where all the directors get together in a board meeting and we would vote. So since my brother is in my favor because I gave him the job, only because I gave him the job, obviously I would use him as my very own puppet, right? I will say, see, I'm planning on implementing this particular proposal at the board meeting. I want you to favor me. I want you to favor me. Do not go against me, right? So if you're planning on voting, make sure that you raise your hand only for my call, right? I don't want you to go and vote for any other policies that is being given by any other directors. This is how I blackmail him. This is how I blackmail him. Okay, to accept any terms or conditions that is put by the CEO, right? Even though sometimes this might be unethical at certain situations. See, sometimes guys, CEO might be telling, CEO might be telling, focus on short-term goals, right? That would be cheap materials. Okay. Sometimes now this is one example. Okay, this is one example. Now see, since now at the current situation that your company is facing a loss, right? A cash flow liquidity problem. Because of that, CFO is coming up with a strategy saying that, okay, to overcome this, let us reduce our raw material cost. Let us buy low quality goods, right? Let us reduce uh, let us what you call uh, send off the skilled employees home, right? Let us send off the skilled employees home. Let us use uh, because of using cheap materials, guys. When you start using cheap materials, you all have excessive wastage. Okay, this is a solution or a strategy that is being given by your CEO. Now you all know, right? This is going to affect your long-term profits, right? Why? Because customer satisfaction would reduce over the quality, right? When you use cheap materials, you are charging at the same price, right? When you are not able to achieve something called quality, customer is going to get disappointed. Very well, customer will get disappointed, and he will not purchase from your very own company. When he doesn't purchase, obviously you are not able to get sales. Because of there's no sales, you all will not be able to get your profits. Okay, so there's an impact on profits. So you all as other directors, right? You all as from marketing team, from the finance team, you all should voice out for this, saying that, see, this is how it's going to affect my credibility of the company. So this is not a way of where we could tackle. So you all should always be in a way where you all could uh, argue, or you all should question the management. Okay, so that is one point. Okay, that is one point. That is one point. Okay, another point would be, sorry, I have what do you call? I have not stated it properly. This should be justification to, right? This is justification. This is justification to. Okay, so the very first one is, since just because you're my simple friend, whatever I say, you need to accept. That is my very first point, right? Another point that I could bring in is, see, because you are my only friend only, right? I was able to ask from you a favor of reduction of 50%, right? You all can speak about that as well. Because of you are my friend only, I was able to ask a 50% reduction. Okay, you all can start speaking about that also. Okay, even though you're not satisfied, simply tell, no one would like to give you a salary, right? I mean, if you're a wholehearted person, obviously you're good. But apart from that, neither me or yourself, we would not like to give our salary just to, for a liquidity problem for the company. No. Okay. But even though he's not satisfied, even though the director, the CFO is not satisfied, okay, CFO, even though the CFO is not satisfied, right, he's needed to oblige. Why? If he doesn't oblige, his job role is at stake. His position is at stake, right? So that is what I have mentioned in this particular paragraph, right? If he doesn't accept that 50%, uh, his what do you call? If he doesn't accept that 50%, his job role is at stake. And the CEO, why would he go and ask only from this particular person? Now, see, there are marketing director that he could go and ask. There is HR director that he could go and ask. There are different directors in that company. But why is he specifically targeting the CFO? Because why? I only got you the job. So because of that, and since you are my very own friend, I only could ask from you. Okay. That is why this is another familiarity threat issue. Okay. And also you all could say that, here, see, also you all could speak about this. See, she has also said that if he needs support, then as a friend, then as a friend, okay, then as a friend, she will help him. What does this mean? See, am I being biased? Am I being biased? Yes, obviously I'm being biased. Look at this. If he needs support, right? This support can be financial, this support can be any of the supporting activities. is that is there in the organization there, right? Any of the support, just because you're my friend, I will be helping him. Why doesn't he give the support to the other directors? Can you see? He's doing an unjust way. He's being in an unjust manner. He's trying to only support this person. Why? Because if he only reduces the 50%. So you all could bring that as well, right? You see? Or any. Okay. This would be another point. This would be another point that you all need to write. Okay. Hopefully you all have understood until here. Hopefully you all are with me, right? Initially we started off with self-interest because why? What do you call? We were not having a permanent position, right, in that particular company. Then after that, we were friends of the CEO. Because of that, we encountered something known as a familiarity threat. Okay. Okay. Uh, Here it is. I told you, right? The finance director is not what you call. He's not satisfied with that 50% reduction. Here it is. Here you all can see the impact. Because I was not satisfied. Look at this. Finance director is upset, right? He's upset by the fee request as no other director. I told you all. Only that proposal was only given to finance director. It was not given to HR, marketing, IT. No, none of them. Right? No other director has taken a cut in their salary. Right? He is currently undertaking a going concern review of Dario, but going concern review, Dario, but has decided not to complete his report until he is considered his position with Dario. So what is happening is since now here he only he was given that 50% reduction, meanwhile the others are having the entire 100% salary. He is not satisfied. Because of that, what he has done, there is something called going concern review, right? Going concern review you need to do every financial year. Why would you need to do, right? To ensure that your company is able to perform next year, right? Rather than you shutting down your own company, or rather than you facing your losses, right? Your company is in a profitable manner and it is able to continue for a foreseeable future. That is known as going concern, right? You are able to continue your business for the next year and couple of years more. That is something called as going concern review, and this is part of the financial director's responsibility, right? It is the responsibility of the financial director to ensure that this report is done. But because of his salary cut, what is he doing? He is not completing that report, right? What does this indicate? What does this indicate? His lack of professional behavior. Well, this is not a competence issue. This is a professional behavior issue. It's like babish, right? You did not buy me a lollipop, so that's what I did not go to school. It's like that. Or you did not buy me that particular watch, that's what I'm not going to office. Or you did not buy me that sports car, that is why I'm not going to office. It's like that, right? You all can't behave like that. You all are professionals in an organization, right? So you all need to act with some sort of professional behavior. You all need to bring in. Okay. So you all can for the just for as a proof, what you all could bring is you all could say that this going concern issue and he's not completing. Right? You all can simply copy paste. Copy paste. Right? Simply copy and paste it. Simply copy and paste it. Okay. Simply copy and paste that issue. And after that, now you all go to justify. Now go to justify. Going concern is a responsibility, yes. It's a responsibility of the finance director, right? It's done to confirm the shareholders. Right, this is simply, I have mentioned something about going concern. If you all want, you all could mention. If you all don't want, you all can simply omit it, right? If you all want, you all can simply omit it. I have just simply mentioned what is the meaning of going concern, right? After that, unfortunately, due to the reduction in the fees, he is demotivated. Now, here, see, this is a related paragraph. This is a relative paragraph. This is a justification. See, because he is doing demotivated, he has decided not to complete, right? This is babish, guys. This is childish. Just because you did not give me salary or you reduce my 50% salary, I'm not going to work. That is what he's saying, right? Which is indicating lack of professional behavior. Obviously, right? See, if you were an intern, okay, fine. Some, at least until a certain extent, this can be accepted. Okay. But you are a CFO. You are a CFO. When you're a CFO, people admire you, right? For your role, for your position, for your power, people admire you. People follow you. So if you show lack of professional behavior, obviously, the employees working under you also will get demotivated. Okay. Then after that, I would give a solution. I would give a solution. Now, see, this is I constructed, right? See, if I wanted, if the salary, that 50% reduction in salary was your very own problem, you all could have simply gone and renegotiated, right? Rather than going and fussing around, not doing your activities that is being assigned to you, right? Because going concern is majorly going to affect your entire business, right? If there is no business, there is no salary, right? If there is no salary, there is no position. So make sure that your organization is there. If your organization is there, your shareholders will be sticking with you. And because of that, you will be able to gain some profits, right? If your organization is going to shut down in the next year, you won't have job. Because of you don't have job, you don't have salary, right? So if the salary is your very own problem, if salary is your very own problem, what you all could have done is you all could have simply gone and told here, see, my salary is my problem, so let us renegotiate. Rather than going and not performing your roles, right? Because of this, there would be a compromise in the quality of work. Compromise means, look, he was already preparing, right? He was preparing the going concern, but he has incompleted it. He has, I guess, he would have done about 40%, 50% of that going concern, but he has incompleted. Because of that, the quality of work would reduce, right? The quality of work. Obviously, what do you mean by quality of work? Uh, Preparing that statement in a well produced manner, right? You're supposed to produce it in a well produced manner, but you all don't do it. You all are not completing because of that incompleteness. Incompleteness, because of this incompleteness, right? Your quality of work would drop, right? This is one justification. Okay. The other justification I will explain it once I come to that particular scenario. Okay. There's another one. Here it is. There's another one. The finance directors findings will also form part of submission to the government for funding. Okay. And will be shared with the external auditors. Obviously, you all are financial directors, right? Financial directors are in a position where you all need to review the financial statements. What you all need to find? You all need to ensure that it does not contain any material errors or omissions, right? And deliberate overstatements, right? It should not include all three errors, right? So as a financial director, you all need to ensure that it doesn't have errors, it doesn't have material misstatements and omissions, right? By doing that, I guess they are getting something from the government. They are expecting a funding from the government, right? If the government knows that your company is going concern, if you are able to continue your company for the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years and above, government will give you some funds. Okay, so they're dependent on that funds. They are dependent on that funds, right? They are dependent on the government funds. And also, this report will be shared to external auditors. Obviously, you all know, right? In audit and assurance job order study, uh, your financial reports will be reviewed by external auditors. And when they review it, right, if they find any errors, if they find any material errors, and you have not gone through it, and you have signed the financial statements, they will issue something called qualified audit report, right? This would give a negative impact on your organization and its credibility, right? Because your shareholders will think that, look at this, this is an incompetent management who is given the responsibility to overlook the financial statements. Okay. So they would give something known as the qualified audit report. Okay. Qualified audit report means negative report. Okay. Okay. Then he knows that the current cash flow position. Okay. You see, he knows that the current cash flow position would indicate that the company is not going concern, and that if he submitted, there would be no government funding. Okay, he already knows, right? If you don't know and if you make an error, that is a mistake. Okay, if you don't know and you make an error, that is a mistake. But when you know that is an error and you purposely hide it or you purposely omit it, right, that is called fraud. Okay, that is a deliberate fraud, right? Intentionally. If you because of your unintentional behavior, fine, that can be considered as a mistake, no problem. But see, he particularly knows that it's not in a going concern, right? And if he submits, the government will not give funding. And if the government does not give funding, right, obviously, what do you call, he won't get his position, right? Because obviously he needs to make sure that uh, his company is performing well so that he has his job. Okay. So if he does not give that going concern this one, he knows that the government will not fund it anymore. If they don't fund, obviously what you call, you will again have liquidity issues and you all need to go into what you call, there's something called dissolution, right? Because of that, there is also a possibility. Okay, this from the audit perspective. This is an audit perspective. Okay, this from an audit perspective, right? This is audit. Okay, right? This is audit perspective, and this is from the government perspective. Okay. Now let's see what is he planning on doing, because he knows. Let's see, he's considering overstating future potential returns on investment. I told y'all, when you all try to overstate, that is known as fraud, right? Never overstate, never understate. Present it in a faithful manner. Present it in a faithful manner, right? Never overstate, never understate, or so that there is transparency. So this is a problem of integrity. This is a problem of integrity or truthfulness or not being honest towards your very own profession, right? You're not being honest. You're not being honest for your what you call job. Okay, so you all can simply copy and paste. He's considering overstating future potential returns on investments, right? And you all can copy and paste that going concern issue also. If he knows, he very well knows that this is not in going concern, but he's going to give a going concern report, right? You all can put that as your statement. Okay, you all can put that as a statement, and after it, you all can justify. Okay, here it is. Despite knowing, right? He very well knows that the current situation is adverse in terms of going concern. Okay, he has not informed to the authorities since he is aware that they will stop the funding, right? You all can write this in your own words, guys. You all don't need to give uh, lengthy paragraphs. You all can write it in your very own words, right? It's all up to you all. Okay, this is I have mentioned in terms of government, right? Now I'm coming to this one, audit. This is in audit, right? Obviously, if you all don't have going concern, right, auditors will disclose it to the shareholders, right? And if you all have not found out any errors, you all will get something known as a qualified or a negative report, right? Because of the report, because of the report, this will have an impact on your brand. This will have an impact on your goodwill of the company, right? Therefore, this is showing the finance director has a lack of integrity. Okay, he is lacking it. He is lacking it. If you are not honest towards your profession, obviously you are not able to self-sustain over the years, right? So your job will be, whatever the job that you all do, if you are not truthful, right, it's not going to last at all. Okay, and overstating will lead to fraud, which is a punishable offense, right? if you'll write all of this, or if you'll include any of the points but I have marked in red, okay, you all will be able to get your 2 marks. Okay, you'll be able to get your 2 marks. Okay, you'll be able to get your 2 marks. For now, we have done self-interest 2 marks, familiarity 2 marks, professional behavior 2 marks, 6, and integrity is 8. All right, there's only another 2 marks that is needed. There's only 2 marks that is needed. Okay, I'll just simply explain that and let us move on. Okay, in addition, hopefully all have understood, right? Hopefully all have understood. The reason I did not want to elaborate more is because you all have done this already in your audit and assurance, right? In addition, many of the accounting staff are remote. Obviously, all are working from home. Okay, they are working from home rather than working from office. So you all know when you all are working from home, there's a high probability, not even a possibility, for data theft. You all can take your pen drives and connect it to your company laptops and share that information, share the authorized information for money, right? In exchange of money. Unfortunately, he does not have the skills nor experience or have the capacity to undertake a widespread investigation into the issue. Now, see, when you all tell you all don't have the skills, right? When you all don't have the skills, obviously this would indicate something called professional competence, right? Professional competence. But the reason that I did not bring professional competence is, see, professional right? He doesn't have something called professional competence. The reason that I did not bring this professional competence is because, guys, see, he's a finance director, not a IT person, right? Data theft is done by IT, not us, right? We are supposed to overlook it. Yeah, as a finance director, we are supposed to tell this. These are crucial information. These are not. So give access only for the uncrucial ones. Crucial ones only the relevant authority should have it, right? But we need to overlook it, right? But he doesn't have the skills. So this might indicate professional competence, not directly, indirectly. So that is why I did not bring in professional competence, right? That is why I did not bring in professional competence. Right? This is why I did not bring it. Okay. Let me read on. Given the current request and his cash flow situation, he also does not have the incentive to deal with the potential data theft or inform the board to enable or address any potential problem. Obviously, when you don't know what is the problem, when you itself don't know how to identify a problem, right, you would not be able to respond to it, right? Respond means you will not be able to inform it to the board. Okay, you will not be able to inform to the board. Why? You don't have the certain skills of identifying the problem. Okay. However, he has asked the information technology department to add productivity monitoring software to all remote employees computers without their permission. Without their permission. We'll see. We all know when you all are working from home, there are people who loiter around, just simply logging in at morning 8 o'clock, okay, and after again loitering around here and there, going out with their friends, chatting on WhatsApp, using different social platforms, right? And again, at 12 o'clock again they would report for a lunch break. Okay. And again, at around 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, they would report for a tea break. But at the end of the day, they will not perform their work. That is called unproductive employees, right? This is what is happening. So to identify those unproductive employees, they have done a monitoring software and they have gone and implemented. Well, is an achievable, this is an achievable recommendation that is given by the director. His intention is good. His intention is clear. But the way he implemented is wrong without their permission. Now, see, for example, right? You all are students. If you all come and try to open my laptop and try to do some adjustments in my laptop, would I like it? No, right? Even though, oh, if I'm your lecturer, right? And if I try to open your laptop without your knowledge, would you all like it? Even though I'm your lecturer, can I do it? No, right? That is not ethical, right? I need to ask permission, even though I'm senior, even though I'm your lecturer, I cannot do that. Okay, that would question my professional behavior. Okay, and any employees who spends time on non-business websites, obviously, you could go YouTube, immediately disciplined, even though his action was, even though his intention was good. Okay, even though intention is clear, even though your intention is clear, right? Even though your intention is clear, implementation, right? You should have asked on them, and if you have gone and implemented, that would have been an ideal solution. But what y'all did is, y'all did not go and ask on them. Directly went unauthorized access, and y'all went and opened the laptops, implemented the software. This is totally wrong. That's what I mentioned here. See, y'all can copy and paste this. Y'all can copy and paste this, right? The productivity issue. Y'all can copy and paste the productivity issue. Then after that, y'all can explain. Despite the intention, you see, despite the intention of the finance director being clear, the implementation of the idea of installation is inappropriate, right? Is questionable. This bad behavior should see, because you all are dealing with something known as employees, right? Employees are vital, right? Employees are crucial. Whatever they could, they could sometimes start something known as a trade union and they could go against you. So always you should deal them with prompt care. Okay, if you all mention this, you all be able to get your marks. Okay, that's it, guys. That's it in terms of ethics, right? If they ask your recommendations, simply all could give all these 4 points. First of all, if the director is at fault, you all could try to correct him. Okay. And if he's not willing to correct himself, you all can go and complain to the board of directors. Right. If you all find out the board of directors is also involved in that, then you all can go and speak to ACCA. ACCA have some guidelines, right? And if ACCA is also not going to give you all a proper response for you all to overcome this ethical issue, your last resort is to do a resignation, right? Your last resort is to do a resignation. This is all you all need to know in terms of ethics, right? This is all you need to know in terms of ethics. Okay. So we are done with our very first question, right? You all don't need, what I would say is simple. You all don't need to even look at my answers, right? You all don't need to even watch this video for your A requirement. Why? Because you all are able to understand it. You all are able to answer it in a comprehensive manner. What you all need me is for this B part, right? For this B part, only you all need me. This 10, 12 marks, I would definitely leave it to you all. You all can write it. You all can write it and after you all can share it. I've been telling you all daily, write a lot and share it, right? I will try to give my feedback as earliest as possible. I see some people, right? I got about 3 or 5 people who are sharing, right? But there are other people who are not. So try to write at least one question and share. Okay. Okay. There's another one. The second question also they want us to explain. This is full and full theory. Okay. This is full and full theory. Explain in accordance with principle of IFRS 8 operating segments, whether division A, B, C, D should be treated as separate reporting segments. Right. For this, you all need to study something known as IFRS 8. It's about 2 pages. IFRS 8. It's about, no, 3 pages. It's a very small standard, theory standard, right? We all, I guess you all can spend about 15 to 30 minutes. You all will be able to finish off this standard, right? And so far, examiner has only asked this standard only twice. Only twice. I have only seen it twice. If you all have overcome, let me know. But so far, examiner has only asked it only twice. Okay. So you all are able to tackle this. What does he want us to include in our answers? He wants us to have the definition of an operation segment, the way of whether can be aggregated or not. There are some thresholds, and to identify if those are reporting segments or not. If you all include all this, you all be able to get 8 marks. This does not have professional marks, right? This does not have professional marks. Only professional marks will be awarded for your ethical discussions, right? So without wasting time, let me go to your second exhibit. Now, see, examiner has not specifically mentioned to use exhibit 1 or 2, right? So, but I would advise that this is related to your second exhibit, because here, see, operational segment, IFRS 8, right? Go and learn something called IFRS 8, please. IFRS 8. Uh, Give me about another 15 minutes. Give me about another 15 minutes. I'll soon try to finish it, right? I'll soon try to finish it. Now he wants you to speak about the definition of the operational segment, right? Definition of the operational segment. Okay. Definition of the operational segment. Here it is. Okay. What does IFRS 8 state? What does IFRS 8 state? If you all need to define it as an operational segment, or if it needs to meet the criteria of operational segment, you all need to have three factors, or three criteria need to be met. Three criteria need to be met. Okay. What are those three criteria? Is number one, it should be able to generate revenue. It should be able to generate revenue and expenses separately, right? So what I would say is it should be a separate profit center. Why I would say profit center? Because profit center has something called revenues as well as something called as expenses, right? Okay. So let me do something like this. There is a company known as Tata, right? Okay. Tata is into airlines. Tata is into construction, right? And Tata is into financial. They are into multiple sources, right? They have diversified their portfolio here and there. Okay. All of these are profit centers, right? None of them are cost centers. None of them are revenue making centers, right? All of these are profit centers where they have their respective individual income as well as their individual expenses, right? This is air ticket, right? This is number of houses. This is accounting services, right? Through this, they generate their respective incomes. Okay. And the information should be regularly reviewed by CODM. Okay. CODM is the person known as Chief Operating Decision Maker, right? Chief Operating Decision Maker. Chief Operating Decision Maker is like CEOs, CFOs. No, keep it as CEOs. CEOs would be ideal, right? This has to be regularly reviewed, right? Not once in a year, 5 years. No, one, you have to always review it. Keep on regularly reviewing it. Okay, that has to be done. Discrete information, right? Discrete information available for finance decision making. What does it mean? You all should have some extent, at least until some certain extent, you all should have financial information. All right, with added value. If you all have this, you all will be able to uh, consider it as an operational segment, right? They wanted the definition. This is, I just, this is simply there in your books, right? This, I had memorized it when I was this one in a way that I could understand. So you all also could write the definition in a way that you all are able to understand. Okay. Now this is the definition only. Okay. This is the definition only. They want me to relate it to the organizations, right? They want me to relate it to the organizations. Well, here it is. For that, I need to read the paragraph. For that, I need to read the paragraph. I might, I'll read it. I'll read it a bit fast because we are running short of time. Dario has four divisions, A, B, C, D, respectively. Okay, A and B produce and sell to third parties. Fine, no problem. Okay, both of them sell to third parties. Division A, right? Division A produces and generates 60% of Dario's total revenue. Obviously, Dario's total revenue is 100%. Out of that, this is 60%. A gets 60% of revenue, which is indicating that he's a major revenue contributor. Okay. Division B produces allergy testing kits. Okay. And sell them to pharmacy wholesalers. Okay. Generating 20% of revenue. So 60 is by this fellow, 20% is by B. Divisions B long-term average gross profit margin is significantly higher than division A. Right, don't worry. Whenever I come to the respective this ones, I will explain. Okay, for now I'm just only reading. I'm just only reading the paragraph. When I come, I'll try to relate it. Okay, division C and D undertake R&D. Okay, they are undertaking something known as research and development. Okay, that's the job role that is done by C and D. B is producing, and C and D companies are doing research and development. C does not provide any R&D services to third parties, right, and only conduct activities for A and B. Okay, this is irrelevant. Now comes the relevant point. Now comes the relevant point. Division C does not generate revenue from any internal or external source, right? They purely are a cost center, right? They are a cost center. Now I told y'all, if I need to meet something known as operating segment, all these three conditions need to be met, right? All these conditions need to be met. Now C is a person who is cost center. Cost center means he will only have expenses. So y'all need to show an indication of revenue as well as expenses. By only merely stating expenses, y'all are known as cost center, right? So if y'all are cost center, y'all are not considered as an operating segment. So the summary would be, the summary would be C not an operating segment, right? This would be C is not an operating segment. Why? He does not have revenue. He does not have any revenue from internal source or external source, right? So that's why he is not an operating segment. Look at the other people. Other people are earning 60% from third parties. This fellow is earning 20% from another party, right? Division D performs contract investigation activities for the external revenues. At least he's earning an external revenue of 20%, right? It could either be external or internal, right? He's at least earning a revenue of 20%. So that is why, guys, I would say that I would simply say that based on the given situation, division C, right? Based on the given scenario, except for division C, right? Because why C is a cost center, the rest are operating segments, right? How now I'm going to break them down. How am I going to confirm that they're operating segments? They are able to contribute individual revenue sources, right? That is number one. Number two, they are able to, obviously this fellow is bringing 60%, this fellow is bringing 20%, this fellow is also bringing 20%, right? Only C is the person who is not bringing in revenue. Only C is the person who's not bringing in revenue. Therefore, except for C, the remaining A, B, and D, are operating segments, right? Now let me again reconfirm. Are we meeting these 2 points? Are they being regularly reviewed by the CODM? Is there discrete information? Well, let us come for that as well. The operational results for division ABD are regularly reviewed. See, this is because of this, the second point meets. Obviously, these are regularly reviewed by the CEO, right? Right? I told you CEO is a chief operating decision maker. So therefore, these are being regularly reviewed. Hence, we can justify that the second point is also being met. Okay. These include separation and divisional operating profit or loss statements. Okay. Costings and budgets. You all know, right? Costing budget statement is a financial statement, right? P&L is a financial statement, right? P&L is a financial statement. These are discrete information. Discrete means these are, confidential information. Okay. Which are used to differentiate. Okay. So since these are also meeting ABD, right? ABD are operating segments. ABD are operating segments. Okay. You all need to conclude this. If you all conclude this, you all will be able to get 2 marks. One for the explanation and one for the relation. Okay. Then, okay. Obviously, you all know how I told, right? All these 3 points needs to meet. You all need to be able to generate revenue. In this particular question, C is only a cost center. So therefore, we are excluding that person. Obviously, they are being regularly reviewed by the CEO, right? And discrete information is available, right? They have something called the P&L, as well as they have something called the budget, right? Therefore, these are operating segments. Now, they're asking something called as aggregation. Aggregation means combining. Aggregation means combining, right? IFRS 8, right? IFRS 8 allows you all to combine two separate operational segments into one, right? It allows, right? It allows you all to combine two separate operating segments. You all can combine them as one and show them as one single entity, right? You all can show them as one single operating segment, right? You all can combine and show them as single operating segment, right? You all can go and read this study hub or your Kaplan exam kit study text, right? They have detailedly explained it, right? You all can go and read it and you all can understand. Okay. Okay. So, but there are some what you call rules. There are some exemptions. Okay, there are some exemptions only if you all are producing similar goods and services. Only if you all are producing similar goods and services. For example, say similar goods and services would be okay. See Milo, right? There is Milo, and there is something called uh, what you call there's something called uh, chocolate milk, right? Chocolate milk is also similar to Milo. Okay, that is similar goods and services, right? Both are chocolates, but different companies are producing it. So that is they are similar goods and services. If you are compare uh Milo with what do you call Boost or Horlicks, those are not similar, right? Because those are two different types of. Oh no, simply if you are combine Milo with Coca-Cola. Can that be similar goods and services? No, both are beverages. Obviously, both are beverages, but both are not from the same type, right? Milo is an energy drink. Also, Milo is an nutrition drink, and Coca-Cola is an energy drink, right? Those are two different ones you cannot combine, right? So that is, it needs to be similar goods and services. If it's similar goods and services, you all can combine them. And if they're using a similar distribution channel, for example, you all see if you all use uh, if you all use like example what I would say, if you all use eBay, right? eBay, uh, Amazon, right? Those are one of the distribution online channels, right? If you all use through roadways, those are similar distribution channels, right? If you all use freeways, right, you all can use the ships and stuff, you all can use airways. All of these are different distribution channels, right? If they are similar, obviously you all can aggregate them. And if you all are targeting same customer base, right? For example, Milo is only being targeted towards children, right? Milo is being targeted towards children, and there is something called Cerelac. There is Cerelac that is being targeted towards children. I mean toddlers, right? Can you all go and feed Cerelac for 15-year-old children? No, right? Teenagers, 15-year-old teenagers, can you all go and feed Cerelac? No, right? So those are different customer bases, right? Those are different customer bases. And there is something called, for these elderly people, they give something called sustagen. Sustagen is given for 70 years old people, 80-year-old people, 60-year-old people. Can you go and give sustagen for a 10-year-old child? No, right? So that is how you all differentiate customers, right? Okay, that's how you all differentiate customers, right? Okay. Now, can you all see here? Can you all see here? Can you all see here? Can you see here? A and B, right? A and B are two companies, right? Who are dealing in the same sector. Who are dealing in the same sector. But can you see their customer bases are two different people? You see, he is selling for a pharmacy wholesaler, right? And this fellow is only selling for a third party. right? A is selling for third party, right? They have not specified who is the third party. It can be wholesalers, retailers, but B is selling for pharmacy wholesalers, right? Can you see? There are two different customers. There are two different customers. Sometimes A can be selling for a retailer, direct retailer, right? Or the direct customer he can be going and selling. So because of this, there are two different customers, right? There are two different customers. Okay. Even though they are selling same pharmaceutical products, right? B is selling testing kits. A is also selling something related to pharmacy, but their customers are different. Their customers are different. Okay. You see, I mentioned their customers are different. They sell to different parties. Okay. Their customers are different, guys. Because of that, I cannot aggregate A and B, right? Because of that, I cannot aggregate A and B. Wait, my highlighting option is not working. I don't know why. Okay, here it is. Okay. Why? One is a pharmacy, one is a wholesaler, another person is selling to a retailer, right? Or customer, right? Because of this, I cannot aggregate it. And another reason could be, here see. Now, if I'm selling similar products, right? For example, say one of my product, Milo is charging 650 rupees or $650. Milo is charging. Another chocolate milk brand is charging about 630. Can you see they're competing? They're competing in the same industry. Why? Because they're selling the similar products. Okay. And there is no significant profit margins. Can you see? There is no significant profit margins. Means see, this is being sold at 620 rupees and that is being sold at 650. So there's only just a 20 rupees difference, right? There's something only 20 rupees difference. Okay. There is only 20 rupees difference. But here see, a contradicting point, because of the contradiction I'm using red. Division B's long-term gross profit margin is significantly higher than Division A, right? If it's significantly higher, you all need to assume that significance means it's large value, right? You all need to assume that the difference between Milo and another chocolate brand is like about $100 or $200. Obviously, they are selling the same products, right? You all can't have significant profit margins, right? Why? If you all are selling, for example, you all know what happened to these leading companies, right? When you all charge a larger price or a higher profit margin, and when there is a similar product being sold, the customers would shift to the other similar product which is being sold at a relatively lesser price. Hopefully, all understood. When there are two similar products, right? A and B, when there are two similar products, right? They need to be sold at two separate prices. Obviously, they'll be separating based on their qualities, right? But it does not mean that you all can charge thumping amounts of profits. You all cannot charge thumping amounts of profits. Why? Because when you all charge something thumping amounts of profits, when you all do that, customers' behavior can shift towards the other product which is giving or which is being sold at a relatively lesser cost, right? Or which is being sold at a relatively lesser profits, right? So you all can see that these are having significantly higher profit margins in compared to A. So that is why you all cannot consider them as similar goods. No similar higher profit margins, right? When you all charge higher profit margins, obviously your customers can shift to a lower to the product that gives you a lower cost, right? Obviously, if I know that uh, Anchor is going to sell at a lower price or Boost is going to sell at a lower price, obviously I would leave Milo and I would move towards Anchor, right? Or Boost, right? This is how we all need to aggregate, right? And the identification of reporting segments, right? Identification of reporting segments. There are some thresholds, right? There are three thresholds, right? There is something called three thresholds, okay? In terms of your revenue, right? It can be in terms of your net asset, and it can be in terms of your, right? Give me a minute. I also have forgotten. Give me a minute. Yeah. And it can be in terms of your profits, right? This is also given in your book. What I want you all to do is just simply try to understand. What does it say? If your revenues and if your net assets are more than 10%, when you all combine, right? Out of your total revenue, for example, you all say your total revenue is total revenue or net asset. The revenue of a product, right? Sorry guys, the reason I'm doing it fast is because we are running out of time, right? Yeah. For example, revenue of product A, right? Revenue of product A would be, say, I would say it's about 200,000. It's about 200,000, right? The total revenue would be of A plus B product plus C product plus D product would be 1 million. If this gives me a percentage which is more than 10%, then I would consider this as a reporting product, right? Since this is 0.2, okay, since this is 0.2, let me bring it in a percentage. Since this is 20%, guys, can you see this is 20%, nah? If it's 20%, it is more than 10%, right? So therefore, you could show that this as a separating reporting. Therefore, this can be shown as a separate reporting operational. Obviously, if it's anything more than 10%, anything more than 10%, right? If any item or if any division is going to give 10% more than the total income, right? You all need to show it as separate. Why? Because it is material. Why? Because it is material. Okay. But if it's less than 10%, let me give a summary. If it is more than 10%, separate reporting segment, right? If it's more than 10%, you all can show it as a separating reporting segment. Why? Because it's a material figure, right? It is a larger figure, right? If it is less than 10%, when it is less than 10%, guys, when it is less than 10%, right? When it is less than 10%, you can show it collectively, right? You can show it collectively. Why? Because it is immaterial, right? Let me show you all a table also. Let me show you all a table of how we present operating segments. See, now Tata is a company, right? Tata is a company. They do in multiple. They have diversified their portfolios in multiple goods and services. Okay, so for example, say if the airlines, right? If the airlines industry, right? is able to produce more than 20%, they will show it separately. Okay. If it's not able to produce separately, they will show it under something known as total reporting segments, right? If it's more than 20%, they will show it separately. If it's less, sorry, if it's more than 10%, sorry. If it's normally more than 10%, they would show it separately, right? If it's not more than 10%, they would combine all those different services that is less than 10% and show it under one particular line, right? They will show under one particular line. This is it in terms of your operating segment. And also try to include something known as 75% rule, right? That is also there. And after you all can relate it to the scenario, right? How you all can relate to the scenario? Here, see, simple, na? How you all can relate to the scenario? Here, see, A is generating more than 10%. Obviously, it's generating 60, right? And B is generating more than 10%. Why? It's 20%, right? And uh, C is also generating more than 10%, which is 20%, right? So they will be reporting them at, they would be showing it as A, B, C. This is how they'll report it. This is how they'll report it. Yeah, this is how they report it. A was 60, B was 20, and C was 20, right? Okay. This is all you need to understand in terms of operating segment. So what I would say is start writing your ethics by now, right? Ethical question, which is a 10-mark question, you all can do it, right? You all can do it by your own, right? You all can do it by your own. Uh, Make sure that you all always relate to the scenario. Make sure that you all always related to the scenario by just simply copy pasting, right? By just simply copy pasting the given situation, right? That is for ethics. Operating segment IFRS 8 is a very small minor standard that can be done within 15 to 30 minutes, right? If you all read it, okay? So read that particular standard and try to reattempt this. And if you all have any doubts, right? Because I guess I would have gone very fast, right? If you all have any doubts, please ask me. I'll be able to explain it to you all again, okay? If that is so, have a great day. Thanks for joining in. See you all in the very next class. Okay. Till then, have a safe weekend.